What's up, everybody? It's Leo and Josh, man. Today we're going to be talking about Woody Marks and why did the Texans trade up to get him, man. Josh, what do you think about Woody Marks' game initially?
Man, it's exciting to see a player break out the way he did in 2024. He came in all Big Ten, second team. Guys can look up the numbers. He had 9 touchdowns, 11 plus 100 yards on the ground. But the impressive one was 5.7 yards per carry to me. That was insane. And even though his passing game wasn't as crazy and usage wasn't as crazy as it was at Mississippi State, he was still third in targets at 54. His most impressive accomplishment to me was his 146-yard flu game versus Nebraska. You know, Jordan has his flu game versus the Jazz. I guess Marks has his flu game versus Nebraska. But then you look at, and he was just really fascinating to watch as a runner, right? He was compact, well-proportioned, but he really showed an advanced level of balance between his patience and decisiveness. He had really great feel working downhill and setting up blocks onto the defenders, similar to Le'Veon Bell a little bit in that kind of dynamic. He glided really well through lanes with vision, and he showed enough shake to create missed tackles over the first 2 levels of the defense.
Yeah, and I thought one of the most interesting things about his game also was he literally got 200 career catches at Mississippi State before transferring, man. So, I mean, and you think about what the Texans offense lacked, especially on third down. I mean, listen, I think Dare Ogunbowale is a great football player, but the fact that he was our third down back, you know, was pretty tough, you know. He didn't really add too much, you know, as a receiver. And I think in today's game, with how defenses are playing so much too high, you have to have guys that you can check it down to and make people miss, and also just be able to be good passing options out of the backfield, because the defenses are really flooding the deep zones, and having guys that can come out of the backfield and be mismatches against linebackers and stuff is amazing in today's game. It's a great weapon for a quarterback, Josh, man. So what do you think he can add to the Texas offense that we didn't have in 2024?
Yeah, man, there was 2 things that really jumped out initially, right? It was ability as a compact catcher, right? He was able to hang on to the ball and catches when he was absolutely getting depleted across the field, right? Like their quarterback, I think it was Miller Moss, he set him up sometimes, but there were some times where it was just like panic, let me just get the ball out. And to have that weapon for CJ, who's had some trouble processing later in downs, is going to be super valuable moving forward. The second thing for me that was really important was his creativity in run after catch after he caught the ball. His ability to jump cut and show burst after the catch was really special. And I think he seemed to always really get that first guy to miss in space for me. And then you take all that and you move to the thing that's, I think, the most important thing that he's bringing into the future with the Texans, and what he can bring to pair with everyone else is he fits really well with Caley's vision for a game plan versatility. And the reason I say this is because he started off with Leach. He got that experience in the zone scheme as a receiver. He got all that under. I say he kind of got like his doctorate, you know, in receiving as a running back. And then he moved over to Lincoln Riley, and he's working on his master's now in a gap scheme as a downhill runner, kind of improving between the tackles at USC. So I think all that ties together, and what it gives you is you're no longer, and you mentioned this, there's no more Dare dependence on offense. You can use him as a versatile weapon on special teams, and you can move off of it and have a truly explosive number 2 or number 3, depending on what Dameon Pierce does moving forward.
Yeah, and like when you think about quarterbacks, Tom Brady for one, right? The guy that's known for getting the ball out of his hands quick. 2 guys that kind of come to mind, you know, I almost said Rex Burkhead. James White, right? James White. I mean, you would look up sometimes James White would end up having like 10 targets, you know, 60, 70 yards. And none of them was like really game-breaking plays, but they kept him ahead of the chains, kept him getting first downs and stuff like that, man. And then another player, too, that is kind of almost forgotten at this point, Giovanni Bernard, right? Another pass catching back that I think he played with Brady like 1 year. But yeah, another guy in a similar mode. And when you think about what, you know, Marks brings to the Texans, it's something that we haven't really had in a few years since the running back, I can't remember his name right now, but the running back that we traded from the Browns, I can't believe I forgot his name. Duke Johnson, right? Like a guy like Duke Johnson. We haven't had a guy that could be that effective in the pass game since then. with Marx's, getting his master's in running back, with Lincoln Riley, he really almost looks like another back this year. And that's part of the reason why I feel like the Texans felt like they should trade a 3rd round pick to get back into the 4th round this year to draft Marks. You get a guy that outside of just being a passing option has some upside in actually like being an actual running back. So Josh, also man, like here's the big deal. How does Woody Marks fit with Joe Mixon to you?
Yes, this was the thing this is the importance. This is why you trade a future pick. It reminded me when the Saints traded a future, I believe it was a 2nd to get back into the 3rd to get Alvin Kamara. Now, I don't know if he's going to be, that's a high level to expect him to get to, but I think what you get when you have a Joe Mixon and you compare him now, what you have is you had a little peek of it, right? You had the little 2 running back personnel, your pony personnel. I know you're going to get more into this, but specifically you could use him as a jet sweep weapon. You could pair him either with Mixon or Pierce, I think, because he attacks better on the outside and it allows Mixon to attack in between the tackles and kind of do his thing where he reacts and kind of gives defenses a little different look. And I think the thing that was really fascinating to me was how his weaknesses lined up so well with Mixon, right? He lacks breakaway speed in the open field. Like he can get those 1st and 2nd level plays, but he doesn't really get those 3rd and 4th level. Now Mixon has that ability to get to that kind of 4th, 5th level. Doesn't really have like 70, 80 yard speed, but so you can complement it there. And also the contact power between the tackles. Like, I think when you have that, and that's something you can develop because you've seen it on outside the numbers, you've seen it receiving. I think it's more of a thing that you develop. And I think being in the room with a Mixon can kind of show him how he develops that and builds up stronger. And I think when you tie it all together, you get a guy that's a slashing complementary back for Mixon. His one-cut ability is nasty out there. I mean, his ability to attack on the outside zone and gap stuff was even more exciting because I tried to watch it from the beginning to the end of his progression. I saw what you were talking about where he looked like a different guy in the new scheme. But it's really fascinating to me to see that growth in I believe, was it the 4th year or 5th year of him playing? And it's just exciting to see a guy still getting better and better and better. And all that's wrapped up in a beautiful bow is he matches Mixon's dog mentality. To have another guy in there, Pierce is a dog, Mixon's a dog. He's a dog now, and he's tough as freaking nails. And I'm excited to see how that all coalesces around CJ Stroud and makes CJ Stroud's job easier.
Yeah, and I think even going forward, I know this is a new offensive coaching staff and all that stuff. But listen, I mean, the previous regime, or, I don't know how much D'Amico was involved on this. I assume that he had some say. They use Mixon as a 1st and 2nd down back, like I said earlier, right? And I think even day one, if you don't really want to use Marks as like a real hammer, even just within how they used Mixon last year, he already has snaps, built into what we're doing. And I think even possibly more than we could even imagine because we traded up to get him. And you know what I mean? He fits perfectly with what we've already done, man. So let's move into our next part, man. So I kind of alluded to this earlier. Being a mismatch nightmare out of the backfield. Like I was talking about, these 2 high safeties are all the rage in the NFL now. And the game is much to do with picking on linebackers, man. And having a running back that is a legit weapon, basically as your 5th option, or what the defense will treat as the 5th option, is a complete, mismatch and just a complete kind of an unanswerable question for a defense, Josh, man. So what do you think about Woody Marks' impact as a mismatch in year 1? Do you think that's unrealistic goals for me to have for him? Or like, do you think like he could get 50 catches his rookie year? Or what do you think?
Oh, I think so. It's all going to be about usage and how much they actually put him out there, because I think he's shown over and over again in multiple different kinds of scheme, whether it's the air raid, whether it's what Lincoln Riley does, which is kind of like a pro air raid kind of hybrid thing that he works on out of more gap. I think what you get moving forward is when he hasn't been in a situation where he's been around this much receiving talent. And when you have that dynamic outside, and it gives him situations where he can be an absolute demon on choice routes moving forward. I think you pair that, and it's a situation where they see a projectable player that, despite the number of years he's already played in college and just football under his belt, I think you can see moving forward that he's a special player. Like, it's not a surprise when you look at it and you watch the film that no running back in the nation ran more routes than than Woody Marks from 2020 through 2024. It's like, that doesn't surprise anybody. And I think I keep hearkening back to that doctorate master's thing. You're telling me you got a running back that's built like that has that upside, that has that vision on the outside numbers and all that stuff, and he's still working towards it? I mean, I'm really excited, and all that pairs perfectly into the pass pro, which I think is the thing that's going to keep him on the field and give him opportunities early to play on third down. And I think it's there, right? It's not great. None of these running backs in this class are really great in pass pro. Like, Travion Henderson is really good, but Omarion Hampton is good at times, but there's just not a lot of polish and not a lot of emphasis in the college game. You're sending guys out, right? You saw it with Dameon Pierce initially. You're just sending him out because he's not a great run blocker that first year. Pass blocker, pardon me. But I think when you see his physical tools, you pair them together, you can see the upside, and you see that he has high effort, he has plenty of experience in passing situations, and he's a quick study, and there's just a mentality. It comes back to that dog mentality, that he's willing to do it, and he's going to do what it takes to get on the field.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And then you factor that in with, like you're saying, the upside of him being able to run between the tackles and actually function as a legitimate running back, and not just a third down guy. And then on top of that, not just being an actual passing option, a guy that possibly can turn into a solid, pass pro guy, which is invaluable in the NFL as a third down back. Like, you really can't be a great receiving back if you can't pick up a blitz or know when you have to check and all that stuff. So to me, I think it's a great pick. It's aggressive to trade a third rounder next year, but we have extra picks. But yeah, man, I love the pick, man. Josh, what do you think about it? Any final thoughts on Woody Marks for you?
Yeah, I just think it's really important to understand how picks work, and you don't have to take it from me. You can go and listen to Nick Casero's interview on the radio talking about why they moved up and what the value is. When you transfer, we hit it on it previously, where you trade a future third, it's really a current fourth. And they said, do we have a fourth round grade on this player? They said, hell yeah. So we're going to go in and make a move for this player and get him now so we can help the rookie quarterback. It's the kind of aggressive thing, and the fact is, it's found money, right? Because it's from that trade we did where we moved back to get Jaden Higgins. I believe it was the Giants trade, the Giants pick that we used to move up. So when you do all that and you look at a player, and I'm hesitant to do comps with him because he's still an evolving player. But one guy that really jumped out to me was Rachaad White as a comp, right? I kind of see that kind of flexibility as a receiver, all the different things. But I think the final thing I want to really just knock home is that there's plenty of upside in this player. He's an established threat in the passing game. Like I said, he has that doctorate, but he's got a lot of upside in pass pro. He's willing to do it, and the upside in the runner, I think he's just kind of scratching the surface because he has not seen a situation where he's getting favorable looks. Like, he's been the center of everything. Even at USC, they didn't have dudes on the outside. It was all built around Marks and then Lincoln Riley being an absolute superhero in terms of calling plays. So I'm really excited to see the future and how it kind of blossoms and what kind of usage they use starting from day one.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And you brought up a great comp, I feel like, to at least his usage. Rachaad White's been someone that's kind of, people view him as a guy that struggles as a runner, but he's a great, passing option. And every single year he's gotten 50 catches and really good efficiency rates as a receiver. And I think we need that. I think it'll help CJ Stroud grow, talk about the offensive line improving. Well, part of that, he has to help the offensive line. He has to get the ball out of his hands quicker. And I think part of the way you do that is just give him a great running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield and be a threat, and and design plays for the running back, and emphasize it. And I think that's what's going to happen here. I feel like it's going to be, they're putting CJ Stroud in a perfect position to correct his own issues. And, I'm excited for it, man. Make sure y'all like this, man. Send it to all your friends. Join the membership program, y'all. All right, y'all. We'll talk to y'all soon. We got more content coming soon.